What if I told you that in the next 24 hours, one man's words could send shockwaves through the entire crypto market, wiping out billions in value in minutes or sparking the next massive rally? That man is Jerome Powell, chairman of the US Federal Reserve. And today, we're breaking down exactly why his next move could make or break your crypto portfolio. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why Powell's words matter so much, but also what you can do to protect yourself, position yourself, and maybe even profit from what's coming. Who is Jerome Powell, and why does he matter? Now, before we dive in, let's get clear on one thing. Who is Jerome Powell, and why does his opinion matter so much in the crypto world? Jerome Powell is the chairman of the US Federal Reserve, arguably the most powerful central banker in the world. His job is to control US monetary policy, things like interest rates, inflation, and financial stability. But here's the kicker. Even though Powell doesn't directly control crypto, his policies ripple across the entire global economy. Think of it like this. When Powell speaks, it's like dropping a stone into a pond. The ripples hit stocks, housing, jobs, gold, and yes, crypto. Why Powell's words can crash crypto? Crypto might be decentralized, but it's not disconnected from reality. In fact, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital assets are now tied closer than ever to traditional finance. So, how can Jerome Powell crash the crypto market in just 24 hours? Interest rate hikes. When Powell raises interest rates, borrowing money becomes more expensive. Investors often pull money out of riskier assets like crypto and move it into safer ones like bonds. Inflation warnings. If Powell says inflation is still too high, markets panic. Why? Because it signals more tightening is coming. Risk off. Sentiment. Big institutions often follow Powell's tone. If he sounds hawkish, meaning strict and cautious, they cut exposure to volatile assets, and crypto usually gets hit the hardest. Example, in June 2022, Powell hinted that the Fed would keep rates higher for longer. Within hours, Bitcoin plunged below $20,000 for the first time in years. Why the next 24 hours matter? So why are we talking about the next 24 hours? Because Powell is scheduled to speak publicly at an upcoming event, and whenever that happens, traders across the world are glued to their screens. Markets don't wait. They react in real time. Imagine this. You go to bed with Bitcoin at $65,000. Powell makes one comment about being concerned about inflation. By the time you wake up, Bitcoin could be at $60,000 or lower. This isn't exaggeration. This is exactly what has happened multiple times in the past. Real-world examples. Let's go through some real-world relatable scenarios where Powell's words shook crypto. Jackson Hole, 2022. Powell gave a short 8-minute speech where he warned about pain ahead in the economy. Markets instantly dropped. Bitcoin fell almost 10% in a single day. March 2020, the pandemic crash. While not Powell's fault, the Fed's initial slow response to COVID panic created chaos. Bitcoin dropped nearly 50% in 2 days, alongside the stock market. Later, Powell's aggressive money printing, quantitative easing, fueled Bitcoin's massive bull run to $69,000 in 2021. FOMC meetings, 2023. Every time Powell used phrases like restrictive policy or ongoing inflation concerns, the crypto market reacted within minutes. Huge red candles on charts. These examples prove one thing. Jerome Powell doesn't just talk to bankers. He talks to crypto traders too, whether he realizes it or not. What should crypto investors do? Now let's talk about what you can do to prepare. 1. Don't panic, but don't ignore. The worst mistake you can make is to panic sell or panic buy without a plan. Markets feed on fear and greed. If you're emotional, you're easy prey. 2. Expect volatility. Whenever Powell speaks, expect crypto to swing wildly. Prices may pump or dump within minutes. If you're a short-term trader, this is your playground. If you're a long-term investor, remember, volatility is noise, not a verdict. 3. Set stop losses and alerts. Protect yourself with stop-loss orders. Have alerts set on your phone. Don't assume you'll catch it live. Many traders have lost thousands because they thought they could outsmart the market in real time. 4. Zoom out. Yes, Powell can crash the market in 24 hours, but he cannot stop Bitcoin's halving cycles, Ethereum's upgrades, or the long-term adoption of blockchain. Remember the bigger picture, the psychology behind the crash. Here's something most people don't realize. Sometimes it's not even Powell's actual words that matter. It's how people interpret them. Think about it. Powell might say, inflation is improving, but we're cautious. Traders hear, the Fed is still scared. Sell now. Boom. Red candles. This is why markets often move in extremes. The fear of what Powell might mean often does more damage than his actual policies. The Fed's hidden power over crypto. Most crypto investors think of Bitcoin and Ethereum as independent, free from government control. But here's the hidden truth. Crypto often dances to the tune of the Federal Reserve. When Jerome Powell raises interest rates, borrowing costs rise, investors sell risky assets, and liquidity leaves the market. This is why you often see red candles in crypto immediately after Fed announcements. Take March 2020, for example. Powell initially underestimated the pandemic's impact. Markets crashed, and Bitcoin fell below $4,000. But when the Fed later injected trillions into the economy, crypto exploded to new all-time highs. Fast forward to 2022, Powell's aggressive higher-for-longer stance triggered Bitcoin's collapse from $69,000 down to under $20,000. Here's the key insight. Powell isn't just a banker. He's like a domino that sets off a global chain reaction. His words shift the dollar, which shifts stocks, which shifts investor psychology, and ultimately slams or lifts crypto. So, if you're holding coins today, remember this. Crypto isn't isolated. It's deeply tied to global monetary policy. Understanding Powell means understanding where the market might head next. Why this affects you, even if you're not in the US. Some of you might be thinking, I don't even live in the US. Why should I care what Powell says? Here's the truth. The US dollar is still the world's reserve currency. That means when the Fed tightens, the whole world feels it. Emerging markets, Europe, Asia, everyone. And since crypto is traded globally, no one escapes. For example, when Powell tightened in 2022, we saw currencies like the Sri Lankan rupee, Turkish lira, and even the euro weaken dramatically. That ripple effect hit local crypto prices too. So yes, Powell matters to you, no matter where you live. Could this actually be good for crypto? Here's a twist. Sometimes Powell's actions can actually benefit crypto in the long run. When Powell prints money to stimulate the economy, it creates inflation fears. That often pushes people toward Bitcoin as digital gold. When traditional banking seems unstable, people turn to decentralized assets. Remember March 2023? Banks like Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. Meanwhile, Bitcoin surged because investors were looking for safety outside the banking system. So while Powell might create short-term pain, in the long run, he might be the best thing that ever happened to crypto. So here's the truth. Jerome Powell could crash the crypto market in the next 24 hours, or he could spark the next rally. Either way, his words are a reminder that we're still living in a financial system where one man's voice can shift trillions of dollars instantly. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you just reacting to the noise, or are you positioning yourself for the future? Because crypto isn't just about the next 24 hours, it's about the next decade. And those who keep their heads clear when everyone else is panicking, they're the ones who win. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this today. And let me know in the comments, what do you think Powell will do next? Will he crash the market or fuel the next rally? Stay smart, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next one.